Hello my friends, and welcome to another installment in this wonderful collaboration I'm doing with the amazing Helen from Eye of the Serpent Tarot, where we are picking cards from the Major Arcana, pairing them up and delivering the messages that they have for you. And this installment is quite a powerhouse, if not probably one of the biggest out of the deck really, which is Justice, which is what Helen is doing, and I'm doing Judgment. Now, Helen will be looking at justice in the context of, your values and how they fit within the external system of your understanding of, the laws of how things should be, particularly like morality and things like that, and how that fits into where you are at the moment and how you can kind of work within those boundaries of law, and how you see the world. Judgment is about how you answer the call that you need to, or that you're called upon to do, and fit that in within that paradigm of that justice mindset. So quite deep readings here. These are not for the faint-hearted. They are pretty intense. Helen's readings are really incredible. I was blown away by hers. So, and I think that there'll be an incredible pairing. It'll be really interesting to see what comes up here. But because the matter is so kind of dense and intense, I think we're going to come up with some really juicy stuff here. So this is about you answering the call, understanding what the call is to you and how you can kind of navigate that, whether or not you've received the call, what you do with the call, how do you kind of move forward with it. Yeah. Okay, let's begin. So we've got pile 1, which is the White Fly Tarot with the Judgment. Pile 2, which is with the Tarot of the Divine. And pile 3, which is with the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. Pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Really, really interesting images as well with Judgment, because I just thought, what is the most kind of interesting ones I can get, and the ones that really speak to me. So timestamps as normal will be in the description box below, my friends, and I'll see you at your reading. Bye. Pile 1, hello and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Judgment card, which is from the White Fly Tarot. And this card always reminds me of Bottom in A Midsummer Night's Dream from William Shakespeare's play. And for those of you that don't know about Bottom, he is a kind of a workman, which is bewitched by the king of the fairies to fall in love with his queen, because there's this fight over this kind of little Indian slave boy between the king and the queen, and the king wants the boy, but he won't leave the queen's side. So to distract her, he gets her to fall in love with this workman. And also to humiliate her further, what he does is then he puts he disguises him with the head of an ass or the head of a donkey. So this Judgment card to me represents the moment when Bottom, awakens from that, and he realizes that he's not, he's not the king of the fairies, or like the fairy queen is not really his, and the awakening basically. And it's a very gentle awakening, but it's almost like a sense of ignorance has been stepped out of. So I don't know if you've been in a period where you may knowingly or unknowingly have been in a space where you've just, been not really aware of things. And you have decided that there's been something that has awakened you. It does seem to me like it is external. And it may have been quite a gentle awakening. Like it was like maybe a gentle realization that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's the impression I get from this card initially. And it's leaving you in a very vulnerable state because he's naked. So it's kind of like making me think, oh, he looks like he's naked. So it's almost like understanding that you came from like quite an ignorant place. And now you're moving into this space where you're starting to become more aware. And it's a really beautiful space, actually. Really refined, almost like a butterfly-esque energy here of the emergence of the butterfly. But obviously the butterfly is still kind of like tight. So there's an emergence that's going on here. Okay, so let's have a look at some oracle cards I've got for you. Wow, the Raven's Head. Okay, this card is really interesting because it signifies that you've actually reached a point where you have to step forward. It's almost like you've got no choice. You have to answer the call because you've got this thing, you've got this pearl that is here for you and kind of has been presented to you. So this awakening that's come about means that you've been presented with something that you have to make a choice about. You have to do something about it. Not so much make a choice, but you have to do something about it, which essentially is making a choice, right? But like, you have to do something about it. You've got no choice. I mean, you could make a choice not to answer the call, which is the whole thing with the Judgment card. But I don't think you'd be at this reading if you weren't thinking about going ahead with the call. You may have a new teacher come to you as well. But this is about being presented with something. But you're just like, I don't know if I want this right now. It's almost like the power, you know, having the power and the responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. With power comes responsibility. And maybe it was something that you wanted. And it's really interesting because that's the whole thing with Bottom out of Midsummer Night's Dream. All of a sudden he realizes he has this sense of influence over the fairy queen. And then it's like, wow, do I really have this? And then when he wakes up from the dream, then he realizes that actually what the truth of the situation is this is his world. Not the fairy queen world, this other world. But actually he's become much better for it. He's not the same because he was quite arrogant before, and then now he's not so much. So there's a real change in personality that's occurring here. Or an offer to change personality or change something quite drastically that will alter your personality, it seems like here. Because the Raven's Head is a really significant point. It's not just, it's almost like seeing something that you can't change. It's almost like, you know, it can't be unseen. Powerful. But I knew these readings would be anyway. And, oh, well, you know what I was saying about personality. And then first house comes up. First house, the ruling planet is Mars. Ruling sign is Aries. Self, personality, impression, ego, identity, appearance, beginnings, attitude, approach to life. I think what that card is signifying is that, you know, as I said, that this was a restructuring of personality. Now, that might seem quite daunting when you think about it. And, like, I feel that, you know, I mean, I'm not any kind of, like, psychological professional. Like, well, I don't know, we'll see in a few months' time. But, I think in terms of how you look at your own personality, you may be seeing that there were some things that you weren't able to kind of confront before because you just weren't in the space. I think there's a realization that's going on here. It's almost like, oh, this is how it is. And now I'm going to have to deal with it. And I'm going to have to change some fundamental things about myself in order to change in order to go forward, because the old me is not going to fit in this puzzle. It has to be this new me, and it's an amazing new you. It's just there's a resistance here. Wow, yes, and active. So with it being reversed, that tells me that there is an impetus that you need to take action on this. You may have not been active, and it's so interesting how this judgment, he's just there, he's almost asleep. So this means that you will need to take action on this, and the correct action, as opposed to, you know, you can't just let it happen. It's not a transformation. This is a calling. And Moon in Pisces, wonder. Okay, so with that wonder card, it's almost like you have to allow yourself to be led by your intuition in order to guide you, because there's a sense here that you may be expecting like a real clear sign. And I love this, like, you know, asking the universe for a sign. I see so many memes about it. But like, you want a sign from the universe to tell you about whether or not you're going to go forward with something. But sometimes you just have to go for it. Like, you just have to do it. There's no waiting for the universe here. And I think that's another thing with my readings. Like, I'm very much about you invoking the active principle within yourself to empower yourself through these readings, not allow these readings to be the be all and end all for your decision making. This should only be a confirmation, as all tarot readings should be. They should not be something that you live your life by. So with that being said, let's have a little look at the situation. I have to say though, my friends, I'm really impressed with like your ability to come to readings like this, because, you know, even with Helen's reading, I think it's quite intense. Like, these readings are a bunch of readings which I don't think are going to be easy things for people to go to, and only the right people will go to it. So thank you for taking the time to like come to these readings. I do mean it when I say it, about you going into the readings, and you know, and I comment afterwards saying thank you, because you've put yourself in a position where you are being vulnerable, and that's a very powerful thing. So I really want to say that that's really brave of you, and thank you for allowing me to read your energy in that way. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty intense. So we've got we've got Queen of Cups reversed, 4 of Wands, 4 of Swords, 3 of Swords, and 10 of Cups. I think I'm going to have one more. Well, Temperance. Okay, this is good. Yeah, this is a journey of you fully understanding yourself in a way that, you know, you can still be active, but not active in the same way that you were before. This is like almost a reprogramming I'm seeing, because it's almost like that the previous way that you were reacting to this situation or to whatever is coming towards you, it provoked some stormy emotions that there was an inability to be able to control. I don't know, there may be trigger elements from females that are around you, and there may be something to do with the divine feminine here, and how that is, you know, how that is seen within you, because the Queen of Cups is very connected with the Moon in Pisces. There's that sense of being really deeply connected. I mean, you can't get more, you know, to me, like, the Moon in Pisces is probably the most spiritual sign to be in the moon, you know, even though I think it's supposed to be Cancer, but Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, those 3 are indicative of the Queen of Cups. And this is, I think you're understanding that there is something fundamental that has to change in order for you to be able to receive some sort of happiness on your gateway to happiness, and building some kind of like block in like the building blocks for you to build your life upon. Because with these 2 fours, these are the 2 fours of stability, you know. I mean, you've got the 4 of Pentacles and the 4 of Cups. I personally, out of the 2 sets of 4s, these are the better ones. It means that there's a understanding that you need something else. It's almost like not your expectations, but your needs have gone up a level. And you're also realizing what you settled for in the past as well. And that what you had before is not going to be good enough. It's just not going to be good enough. There was also a sense of fantasy that happened here, because you placed your expectations in something. It may have been a relationship or something. You may have like thought, oh yeah, in terms of your relationships, your expectations of people, there was like this level of you know, it just wasn't fulfilled. So for example, you were in a relationship and you thought that this person could really kind of help you, but then it found, or really kind of like build a future with this person. But then you found out that something about your own dreams and your own needs, there was something much deeper that needed to kind of be there in order for you to make your personality blossom in the way that, you know, and grow. Let's just say grow, because as time goes on, you grow. So now you're kind of awakening from that dream, and you're realizing that this is the reality that kind of needs to come forward, and it needs an active element from you, a more active element that was passive before. So there's this sense of like it coming from the fact that there's this unrest in terms of the emotions, that you want more, that you need something more. And this comes from being in a period of rest. Like you've been in this period of where you've not been doing a lot. And not only that, you've probably done like a lot of soul searching in the respect of like, maybe you've done meditation or dream work or something that connects you to your intuition, that helps you. But there is something here that's invoking some sense of drive that needs to go forward. And it's coming from a deep sadness. And I do think there's something connected to the female side of the family, or your friends, or something like that. There's something to do with you, or maybe your own connection to the divine feminine. There's something to do with that. I don't know, maybe a way that you handle your emotions. Maybe you're starting to understand that the way that you handle your emotions, it has to be different. Because the 3 of Swords is a little bit like, it's a little bit masochistic, right? So it's, even though the 3 of Swords is there and there's great pain, there's a choice whether or not to like experience that amount of pain. And there's also this like sense of detachment. Like maybe you're thinking that you can only deal with it, when really if you can like find ways to outsource your grief from what's gone on, then you might be able to handle it better. So there's some learning here within this pain. And there's a great amount of pain here. I mean, the 3 of Swords is probably one of the most painful cards in the deck. And then you've got the 10 of Cups reversed, which, you know, I mean, you've got the 2 happiest cards, or 2 of the happiest minor arcana cards here, and then it's reversed, particularly with Mars Pisces. So what that means is that means dreams were unfulfilled. Absolutely, in the position that you were in, and there needs to be some restructuring going on here. And I mean, look, there's a complete disconnect that's going on here in order for you to regain some kind of balance. So that's kind of like what this is here. And it's so interesting. Look at these 2. Obviously it is the same deck, but it's just really interesting from going in this space to that space. Or maybe you were in that space and now you've come into that space. So it's almost like you were in this space of being unplugged. We've got like a reoccurring theme here with this, you know, these images, but it's almost like asleep, like healing, and then now awakening. So there's a real process that's going on for you, Pole 1, in this respect. And it's interesting because like it'll be interesting to see what Helen's reading says, because there's this kind of, maybe it's the external situation that's pushing you, you know, almost you know, like the egg cracking open. Let's have a look at what the other tarot cards say. clarify these cards. Very powerful reading. I mean, this is deep. I don't, you know, this is to do with like innate personality. And as I say, like I'm not a mental health professional, but I do work with clients on that level. That is something I do regularly and have done for a good number of years. So, but obviously this is a general reading, so do take this with a pinch of salt. As I always say, this should be a confirmation of things that you already know, not a diagnosis. If you need extra help, go and seek a professional. Don't seek another tarot reader, seek a professional. And then maybe go to another tarot reader if you want to, like a personal tarot reading. And I also give personal tarot readings as well, which I go more in depth. And I really do go in depth when I do the personal stuff. So, you know, just keep that in mind when you look at these readings. Okay. Okay, so we've got the Four of Pentacles again. So you've got 3 fours. Strength. The Queen of Wands. Nice cards. 10 of Swords reversed, good. Oh, you've got another one. High Priestess, nice. Okay, this is very good, part 1. There is no such thing as good and bad when it comes to the readings, but this is quite favourable in the respect of like you actually just being able to get on with it. It just seems a bit more proactive, you know, like you're not allowing yourself to sink into the space of like being a victim of your circumstance, and I like that. 5 of Wands. Okay. So I think this is the thing, like with this Queen of Cups reversed and these blue butterflies trying to break out of here. The Four of Pentacles is to me quite a stubborn card. It varies with reader to reader, but me, I see it as kind of a blockage. And with that Queen, you recognize that there is a blockage here. It's so interesting how these blues are the same color and this blue here is the same color. So there's something about you being able to like tune into your intuition and your dreams to set you free. Mainly that kind of like aspect of yourself to set you free and to be able to like push you forward to being able to like harness the power of that pearl. The impetus of you striving towards your goals and your happiness is going to be what gives you strength. And what's really interesting is that she's also naked as well. So there's this consistent thing about being vulnerable in a space where you may be in a battlefield. She's holding arrows. There's axes and spears all around her. And then there's this snake here. So there's something about you really recognizing that you may have to be vulnerable in a place where you have found it really difficult to be vulnerable before. And it's important for you to like go forward with that in the best way that you can. And you can only do that, right? There's no right and wrong way to do this. You just do the best you can, and that's all you can do. The Queen of Wands, I mean, you know, there is a real drive and a real passion here. You've got the power to really turn this around. Whereas the Queen of Cups is like kind of somebody who can't really manage her emotions, but has it in a very strong sense and is also influencing people around her. The Queen of Wands upright is the person who can actually turn that around and make that something that, you know, is actually really useful for her. And it doesn't refer, you know, it's not gender specific. It's just in terms of the characterization of the yeah, it's the character of the card, the essence of the card. So there's a real supreme master manifestor energy going on here. You being able to weave this sorrow into gold, and being able to do, like, you may be feeling that you don't have the power to deal with what you have, but actually you're more than powerful to deal with it. In fact, it's for you. This is for you to deal with. This is not for anybody else. And what's really interesting is that we go from the 3 of Swords to the reverse 10 of Swords. So with the reverse 10, that means to me that you really, you might have already gotten over the 10 of Swords already, and now you've already started transmuting it. I think for some of you that the idea of you moving forward in something is going to be really healing. Like, if you feel that you can, like, keep busy, or you can do this, or you can, like, that you can be productive with this sorrow, it's going to really help you in that respect. And I think you're already going to, like, go forward with that. I think you're already way ahead with that. Actually, you may not be there yet, but then when you get on the road, it's almost like you missed the first step, because you're already so further ahead. You've already done the healing. You find it easier than you realize. So brilliant there. You're just going to ride above it. And with the 10 of Cups and this High Priestess, it's like almost, it's this ultimate knowing. You're not going to place any fanciful ideals on anything that isn't going to give you the return that is worthy of that is worthy of you. It's going to be very much your rules, this is your game, your ballpark. This is not about anybody else's ballpark anymore. This is not about you adhering to anybody else's expectations, you placing ideals on other people. It's not about that. It's about you understanding what you really want from a situation and how you go forward with that. It's really powerful. Really powerful. I like it. I like it a lot. And then with this 5 of Wands here in Temperance, I think this is about you understanding, like, what's the difference between healthy competition and the competition within your mind, like how you can utilize the fact that things are difficult in order to make things grow for yourself, because everything kind of works with tension, we need some sort of tension in order to provoke us to move. So, and in order for us to become active, we need that. We need stimulation. And I think that's what this 5 of Wands is that we need this essence of stimulation in order for you to kind of like move forward in this way, so that you can take charge of what you're supposed to be doing, rather than just being passive. Because there is a real need to be active here. You have to take some action. So, okay, let's see what your other cards have to say. Inhabitiveness, nomadism, nidification, and reclusiveness. Interesting. So what I'm getting from that is that there is something, I would think that there is something about you being able to do something alone but be busy. That's why I was saying about the active kind of element of things. So something needs to be active and working, but you don't need to be like outwardly, like you don't need to post it all on social media, or you don't need to be telling everyone. You can just get on and do your thing. Because not only that, like I don't think like people would really understand what you're doing until you've done it. And they're like, oh, wow, So I think that might be something to think about. Honoring your energy. Nice. So with honoring your energy, there's this sense of you understanding like where you are, where you're at, what you're doing, how you're doing it. And And the way it's working is for you and for your own best interest, rather than you kind of comparing yourself to others or thinking that you should be in a different place than you were previously. Okay. And an angel card for you, Jeremiah. Oh, wow, Jeremiah. So, let me just place that. Actually, I will swap that over. There we go. What's really interesting is that the essence of Jeremiah is about you letting go of things that you haven't, that don't really serve you anymore, and don't really, they don't, like, you've outgrown this suit. You've outgrown this. And now it's time for you to step into this other place and also be compassionate, which is what I was picking up here with this inhabitiveness card, like being compassionate with oneself within the place that you're in, because there's this sense of vulnerability and gentleness that needs to take place, particularly with the moon in Pisces. You can't be aggressive or anything like that with moon in Pisces. It has to be very gentle, even though we've got, like, you know, we've got intense things happening with this Saturn happening here, and then you've got these Mars placements in the respective, like, you know, drive and need to kind of go forward. There has to be like a balance that you kind of like work with in order to like let yourself be accepting of the change, but then also understanding where you've come from, particularly within the paradigm of like the justice, what you see in Helen's reading. Like, if you're able to just give yourself some compassion, you know, there's no should, would, could, you know, there's just be. It's a really delicate balance. But I think, you know, I think you're in a really, really interesting place, Pile 1. I wasn't expecting this. It's almost like you're on the threshold, you know. But more so, it's not just that you're on the threshold. You're on the threshold and you've got the thing in your hand. It's almost like you've got the instruction booklet there to say, right, this is what you got to do. And now you've got all the materials that you need to do it with, and now here you go and do it. And that is really intimidating. I can't think of that. Really would intimidate me totally. But then if you start to understand, like, oh God, this is where I came from, this is what I built previously, this is what I had, and now I understand that what I have now doesn't really fit who I want to be. So now I'm going to move forward to do other things. And it is scary. It is scary, but hey, you know, everything else that we want is on the other side of fear, right? Okay, and then the last card, I just went and quickly got this deck because I was like, no, I need to close out with something else. So this is a question. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see it. What if you could see the world through the eyes of your enemy? Interesting. What if you could see the world through the eyes of your enemy? That's a really interesting question, actually, because what would you describe as your enemy? That would be the first thing. Like, how would you see that? And then how would they see the world? How would they see things? And it's interesting to consider about your own perception of that. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. But I hope you enjoyed that reading. There's a lot of questions from this reading, which I had a feeling it might be. But if you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do let me know in the comments about, if you'd like to share. But please do go and see Helen's reading, because I think that they're going to be really interesting in working together and how you kind of like navigate this space, because this is kind of like giving you the green light to go ahead and saying that you've got the strength that you need, but there is work. The work is there. This is very much the work. This is what this card is about. It's about, yeah, now the work is about to occur. So get ready. Have a beautiful day, my friends, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Hello, Pile 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose this Judgment card, which is from the Tower of the Divine. Now, this is a real calling here. You know, you see what you want, and you see that this is something that you want to go ahead with and you want to go for. There's almost like a sense of this is some divine calling. This is something that's speaking to your soul, something that you really feel that, you know, that it's almost like a light. The story behind this is the monkey god Hanuman being called and seeing the divine light in order to help Rama when he's being called to help him. So the fact that we've got a lotus here as well, it just symbolizes to me that there's something very divine about this calling that is going on for you at the moment compared to the other two. It's almost like you can see this as a beacon of light that you walk towards. And not only that, you know your mission, like you understand what it is. It's almost like you may even be prepared for this, because Hanuman is a monkey god. So it's not even, it's almost like he's a god, you know, he's a warrior god. So he's not just some monkey. He's a god. So there's almost like a sense of real establishment in the position that you have already, and you're taking the next step in what you know is going to occur, and you're ready for it. Not to say that you aren't still in awe of it, but it's almost like it really matches you, like it really, like you're ready for this. So this is really exciting, really, really exciting. Let's have a look at what your cards, your oracle cards have to say, pile 2. So, okay. Biosis reddening. Wow. The idea of this is about blood coming up to the surface. It's almost like, you know, a readiness, a something about you. The main thing is about blushing, I feel here. Like, so when you're blushing, it's almost like, wow, this is it. All the blood is rushing up to the surface, and it's almost like, right, I'm ready. Another interesting way of putting this across is, you know, when we become aroused in some kind of way, you know, things swell or become bigger. So there's that sense of you're really being called to rise, quite literally. And it's something that's really it's almost innate. It's part of what you've been training for, maybe. There's something very, very pure about it as well, because there's this manifestation of the there's this sense of, like, you know, it's come from this black stone, but then moving into the gold and then changing into the pearl. There's this kind of natural progression that's happened in order for you to get to this point. So I almost feel like you guys have been training pile 2 for this beckoning, for this call, for this awakening. It's really, really interesting. And we've got the sun in Pisces. We had the moon in Pisces for pile 1. But this time we've got the sun in Pisces. So it's almost like you're taking action on the intuition. Whereas, like with pile 2, they had the moon in Pisces, which meant that they had to listen more to their intuition. With the sun in Pisces, there's more of this impetus of taking action on the intuition and being able to manifest it into something that would be realistic. And understanding divine higher purpose. It matches very well, actually. Autumn equinox, right? And it's reversed. So I think maybe you were thinking that something was going to come at that time of the autumn equinox. So we're talking about, like, I think autumn equinox is September, I think. I can't remember. But during that time, there may have been something that you would have been expecting to happen. What's really kind of getting me here is this patchwork quilt that's underneath. So it's almost like this is made up of many parts. So I think, you know, there may be a rush of energy that you may think that might be like almost the climax. It's very, very sexual, this reading. Like the climax of what's going to happen, but actually it's not. In a way, it's kind of like an anticlimax, because it's kind of making me think that things are going to get hot at that time, but it's not going to finish or anything like that. Wow. It's actually, I think there is an expectation. Like, you may have this sort of like expectation that something is going to happen at that time, but it may not happen in the way that you think it's going to. It may even happen before. So you may be expecting something to happen around about that time, but it happens before or maybe after. I've got a feeling it's going to happen before, because there's kind of like really quick, like kind of, sorry, I said trine, didn't I? It's fire. And it's interesting because of the triangle. So, that's even more sexual, because like then that's about drive, about going forward. So I think things may happen for you sooner than you realize, in this respect. You know, you may think that it might have taken longer, whatever this was, whatever this calling was, but actually it's gonna go like a train that's stuck on like go, you know, like there's no brakes or anything like that. That's what I kind of got the, you know, once you hop on the train, you're on there. There's a real like assertiveness, passion, drive. I don't know, I keep on seeing this trine. So I think that there's something very fortunate for you, pile 2, that's going on at this moment as well. So I kind of like, I'm seeing this, and also the Vesica Pisces, again, very sexual. There's something very kind of, it's almost like, you know, like striking while the iron is hot, going in, you know, this rising of the Kundalini occurring, you know, particularly like with the way she's sitting, and then that's the way that, you know, you would sit in order to kind of like provoke the Kundalini. And then you've also got, you know, this snake, and then the fire as well. So, and also in the respect of like deeper meditation, it's about calming the monkey mind and being able to transcend to a more divine kind of sense of self. This lotus flower is also about reaching that, you know, the lotus is the top chakra. So there's something here about you being able to ascend in a way. You may have been like doing, I really do think there's some kind of like training going on or something. You may have even been abstaining from something. Not necessarily sex or anything like that, but like something, you know, just something that you know that helps you to really focus on what you need to be doing. So let's find out some more about this. I'm really curious. There's a real sense of being evolved here, pile 2. Like I feel like you're in a real evolved sense. Particularly when I just read that align yourself with love and wisdom here. It's almost like it's, you know, there was nothing but love in Hanuman's heart. Like it was actually, when I read the story of him helping Rama, I just thought, God, there's just so much love in this guy. He just loves him. He loves Rama so much and is so devoted to them. It's really beautiful. This is really something special for you, pile 2. There's something really beautiful going on for you in this awakening. Wow. Goodness me, pile 2, what's happening? This is amazing. Wow. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. Right, so this is a real step into your destiny. Like, and you've really come from a place where you have maybe gone through so much, pile 2. You've gone through so much, and maybe you didn't think that you were going to be able to get out of it. Maybe you didn't think that you were going to be able to like deal with it, to work through it. But you did, and you are. You actually are. You have done. The Wheel of Fortune is really kind of smiling beautifully upon you. And then you've got the Ten of Swords reversed here as well. Similar to like pile 1, who had the Ten of Swords reversed, but in a different position. Like, there's a real overcoming of, you know, despair and sadness. Or there was an option where you could have resided in that space and you chose not to. Because you've got also the Eight of Cups here, which gives me the sense that you still decided to move on, even though things may have been painful. They could have been painful, but it's almost like you understood that there was so much more at stake than you wallowing in any kind of like sorrow for what had been. With the King of Swords reversed here, I think you were moving away from some kind of like dogmatic situation that didn't resonate with a sense of love. The King of Swords reversed is a very dominant, authoritarian character, somebody who really doesn't listen to anybody but themselves. May have some good things to say and is obviously a ruler of some sorts, but is very difficult to be under. So you kind of like, I don't know, for some of you it may also be like a way of being, like you may have even been that way towards people, and then you're realizing that that's not really how things can run. You're going to have to like change your way of thinking. But I don't know, for most of you, I think it's you walking away from a situation that kind of had this kind of authoritarian structure that really tried to like mow you down. It really did. Like whoever this was, they tried to hurt you, or they tried to do whatever they could to like wear you down so that you could like listen to them. But you were too bright. You're too bright for this situation. And, you know, like with most people who are in a really good, like, and I've seen it in so many workspaces where you see like really incredible people who come in with like brimming full of ideas and full of really amazing things to help a situation at work, and the external paradigm won't allow it because it just doesn't fit in with the, you know, system that's there. So essentially then it ends up becoming more, you know, you end up getting suppressed. So then those people usually leave because they have to go to a place where they're celebrated and not just suppressed and tolerated. Okay, so we've got the that's the Six of Swords reversed. Interesting. We've got the Seven of Swords reversed. We got the Devil reversed. Wow. We've got the Fool reversed. Really interesting pile 3 or 2. Five of Wands. And the Seven of Pentacles. Okay. I don't know why I see that, but with that piece of paper, I don't know, you might get an offer of some sort. I don't know why. Seems like a contract. I wouldn't be surprised if those people come back to you and maybe ask you for some, like if you'd like to work and like adhere to your needs and your wants. I'd be a bit careful about that though. And the reason why I say that is because the Six of Swords here is reversed. So that says to me that there may be a turn of events that may encourage you to stay where you are. You may be like, okay, and maybe this person or this situation, it's almost like they understand where they are and what they've done within the situation to cause you feeling like that. The Devil reversed also gives me that idea of the sense of illusion coming to the surface, and also people realizing what they've done, people understanding that they've not really been in the way that they should, and also secrets coming up to the surface. So things just coming into light, particularly with the sun there. I think if you do go back into this situation, you'll be fully aware of what's happening. And you'll be able to put into place some really amazing new things. You'll be able to do things your own way. Not without a little bit of conflict, but like nothing that isn't, you know, worthwhile, I think. And then you also have the Ten of Swords with the Seven of Pentacles. I mean, I think it's pretty... It's not going to come with the massive rewards if you stay in this situation, if you work within this situation. There is a beginning, but I think you will still be wanting more at the end of it. It's really interesting, actually. Let's see what the other cards have to say for you. Language, articulation, silence, and affectation. Language. Okay, so in the respect of how you communicate yourself, that will help you to kind of move forward with this. I think also being really articulate with yourself about what you want truly, because I'm going to be honest with you, like there may be a point that you actually have to move, like you actually have to move on. There's something that you're being provoked to do something, to move, to make some kind of movement. This also could be you getting like, you know, this reddening could also be like, you know, when people get angry, they get red. So it could be that, and you may have thought that, oh yeah, I'll be able to hang on until like autumn before I leave, but actually this thing has like got me so mad that I need to do something about it now. Being really clear with yourself in whether or not you can like sustain a situation rather than just placate it. That might be an interesting conversation to have. Also, the language that you communicate with others, how you communicate with others, that's going to be really interesting in how you navigate the situation. I'll be honest with you, there's a bit like there's an either or here. There's no kind of clear-cut decision for you to do whatever, but all I can see is that at the end of it, it may not be as lucrative as you thought it was. But that doesn't mean not to go for it anyway, you know? I think sometimes you have to kind of like go through something in order to understand that you want more. So maybe this is what the process is saying. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. So what I get from that is that there's an opportunity for you to like just... You know, whatever happens, happens. It is what it is. I don't think there's going to be any kind of major outcome, but the problem will be addressed in some way, you know? I think this will be. But I think what's really important is that, you know, you've got this calling. And there's something about you going on to do something that's pretty big. And I just wonder if you're like kind of limiting yourself. That's just something to ask yourself. I don't know. This is a general reading, but there just feels like, am I going into a situation, or are you going into a situation that you know and you can handle because you know that you can handle it? Or are you really pushing yourself into something that you know that you can get something different out of? Because you could be in a situation where you think, okay, if things change, then actually something really amazing, like amazingly different can happen. So yeah, that's just something to think about. And then we've got Asariel. Wow, she looks so pretty. Beautiful. So what this really kind of hits home with is coming back to this sun in Pisces, and what I was speaking about with you being in touch with your emotions and really understanding yourself. You know, this idea, like, for example, if you blush over something, or if, you know, something starts to make you feel a certain way, there's an idea of you being able to really recognize what that is and what that means to you. In insight meditation, there's this idea of you understanding the bodily sensation of, say, for example, you feel your cheeks getting red at a time when you're being asked a particular question by your boss or something like that, or you feel like beads of sweat happening, or you feel like your hands starting to get clammy. You know, what what does that mean? Like, what's going on? Okay, you're starting to feel like those sensations of you know, maybe feeling a little bit uneasy, or that there's something that this is making you feel, and really honoring that and understanding that and recognizing that these triggers are really important in you being able to move forward with the purpose that you're meant to be. I know that sounds so like trivial, but it's really fundamental. Like, if you're able to understand how you react in certain situations, that enables you to give you more mastery in how you are able to deal with it. And it's really refined. And to be honest, like, I feel that like there's something here that says to me you're seasoned at this. There's a level of this, maybe you're not conscious of it or whatever, I don't know. Because as I said, this is general reading, but like for the majority of people that are here, it's like you know yourselves well enough. And you know that if you truly listen to your intuition and your guidance, that you'll be able to get the best out of this. That's why it is all good. Because you kind of know. You kind of know the territory. You know these people. You know how they're going to be. But I don't know, there's just something here for me that's just saying to me that there's something more for you. And maybe it is after this, you know. So it'll be interesting to see how this rides out. And I've got a question for you. And it says crux. How interesting, crux. So the question is, I think you can see that. Can you see that? Yeah. So what if we are not measured by what happens to us, but rather by how we respond to it? I love it when like the cards affirm what I'm saying. It really helps me to have a bit of faith that what I'm saying to you is actually making some sense. But there you have it, my friends. Now, please do go and see Helen's reading, because I think it will give some context to this situation. Obviously, we do have context here, but like a deeper external context. This is about what's happening internally. Please do like the video if you liked it. Please do subscribe for more videos. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your energy. And my darlings, thank you for everything. I really appreciate all of your comments. Please do share if you wish. I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Take care, my darlings. Bye. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. So you chose this Judgment card, which is the card of Awakening from the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. One of my favourite shadow decks. And I just love this idea because, you know, everyone is asleep around her, but then she is pulling down the mask and seeing everything around her, which I thought was just amazing. You may be in a situation where other people are not in the same position as you. And that's really making you aware of what's going on at the moment, because you're kind of thinking, oh God, like, yeah, am I the only one that's kind of like in this space having to deal with this? Is this, you know, is this where everybody has been? A little bit matrixy, this card is giving me the idea. So you may be stuck in a situation where, yes, only you can see what's happening. Or there may be only a few people that are able to see what is happening. There is a little bit of fear I'm sensing, and almost like a sense of like maybe wanting to put the blindfold back on. But it's almost like you can't unsee what you've seen, right? You have to kind of go with it. So let's have a look at your other cards. Conjunction. There may be a sense of it all making sense. Like you're starting to understand this is why things have worked out the way that they have done. This is why things are the way that they are. And what I'm just seeing here is the two X's here. I mean, this is a little bit different. This is like 50, 60, I think this is 79. No, this is 69. And this is 20. So, but it's interesting how we have the 2 X's there, which tells me that there's definitely no turning back here. Like you can't go back to where you were. There is no turning back here. With the other cards, with the other piles, there may have been something here, but there is a real sense of finality here. And it's almost like, I mean, look, it's black and white. Even this card is black and white. The only thing that's a different color is this blindfold. So you can choose to distract yourself, but the truth of the matter is what is there in front of you, like the black and the white. So it's really stark. Wow. God, these readings, they haven't cut any punches, I'm telling you. Moon in Gemini. Oh, well, okay. Moon in Gemini. Should I stay or should I go? Moon in Gemini, indecision. I mean, let me read some more. Pluto reverse. Pluto is the card for judgment. February moon. Excuse me, February moon. So either something is going to happen around the time of February, or something didn't happen, or something didn't manifest in the way that you thought it was going to be. The first thing that comes to mind is a relationship. I don't see this as a love reading, but it's almost like sometimes when you see little things within a relationship that you didn't see before, that kind of were there in February, or that were there, and then in February you remember something little that happened, and then now it's starting to come to fruition, that you're starting to understand why that thing took place. Not to say that this is what's happening, it's just like an example, but you know, the example that you see someone behaving a certain way, you know, you see a message on their phone or something, and then you're like, oh wow, they were seeing someone else, that's what was going on, and you know, this was when they last saw them, or this is when a big event happened with them, or something like that, or maybe something at work or something. And with Pluto being reversed and also the moon in Gemini, there is a sense of being curious about what was going on, but also being ignorant of it. So there was a sense of like choosing not to like view the possibility that it could be going on, you know, and that's why I refer to something like a relationship, because you know, you don't want to believe that if somebody's, you know, doing that to you or cheating on you, you don't want to believe it. But then sometimes, or maybe they're not really feeling that into the relationship, or there's certain elements that are like causing them to move on to an ending or something. It does feel like that. It doesn't feel like a happy celebratory kind of thing that's going on here, which is why I'm referring to something like a breakup, but as opposed to like, oh, it could be a surprise marriage or something like that. I mean, yeah, sorry, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting like this is a happy time. I'm getting that this is a pretty difficult thing. All of the piles were pretty difficult, if I'm honest. Like they weren't, but judgment isn't an easy card. And neither is the justice card, as you will find out when you go to Helen's readings. They're all pretty intense. So let's see what the cards have to say. And also I'm using this deck. This deck is always pretty shadowy. So, yeah. But as those of you who come to my readings, you know that I'm not all about your sugar plum fairies and all of those kind of things. My own Capricorn moon brings it into light. Okay, so we've got the Seven of Pentacles. We have the King of Swords in the exact same position for pile 2. Interesting. Temperance. Five of Pentacles. And the Four of Cups and the Four of Wands. Nice. Nice ending. I like that. Okay, right. I think you've known that this is a situation that you weren't happy in. Par 3. You knew that this wasn't, that you were kind of like, this was a mediocre thing. And there was an element of like, there definitely was an element of fooling oneself here. But it was almost like you were biding your time to like wait until the time was right. And then you kind of understood that the time is never right. So it's just going to hurt when it's going to hurt. And it's almost like, it's really interesting with this Temperance card. There is that, you know, they're reaching out for each other, but it almost seems to me like there is a letting go here that's going on in order to regulate the balance. Because there was a sense of not being able to be honest with oneself. And what's really interesting about this card here is that these guys here, they don't realize that they've got all of this gold that's here. They keep on digging, thinking that they're looking for it, but actually it's already there. So what that says to me is that you're starting to realize that maybe you weren't appreciated, or maybe it wasn't where you were undervalued where you were with this 7. There was an undervaluing. It was okay. But this is the whole thing. There's this sense of like being in a mediocre situation, and are you going to stay here and realizing, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? If it's in context to a work situation. There is a realization though. You are realizing that that's what this is about. You may realize that you're too good for a situation, or you've outgrown a job or something like that. And you're like, what am I doing? I'm working so hard for no money. I have to go. I have to go. There may be some kind of element where you feel slightly imbalanced, but there is a real injustice here. Somebody's lying to you about something, I feel. I wouldn't normally say that, but just like this card, and it's got truth right there, and it's reversed. So it means that somebody is either withholding the truth. Well, they're withholding the truth in some way, be that in a lie or just not telling you what's going on. That's what I feel is happening here. And you may realize it. That's what I was saying, like, it's that thing, you know, when you see the signs of something, you're like, and then you put 2 and 2 together, and then you suddenly realize, oh my God, that's what that was all about. Oh my God, that feeling is intense. I'm laughing because I'm just remembering that the times when I felt like that, and I felt my heart drop into my stomach, and I was just like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. That's judgment right there for you, friends. That's judgment right there. It's like it drops the mic, drops the bomb. See? Look at the card that shuffle adjusted. Well, I mean, we've got the Lovers reversed here. So it could be to do with love. Not necessarily, but, you know. Two of Swords. Is that upright or reversed? It's reversed. Yeah, somebody's like letting it out. Somebody's letting it out. King of Cups. Wow. Stoicism is your friend right now, I'm telling you. 6 of Swords, upright. Good. And the Devil, upright. Okay. So, I mean, I'm gonna like boil it down to its like bare thing. And this will not apply to all of you. But this is the scenario that I'm currently seeing in my head. So take it as you will. But I'm seeing like a kind of cheating situation where you've seen that somebody's cheated. And it's interesting how I got that from here. Because it's almost like this is like a test of your, like, this, whoever this other person is, they want to test you and they want to make you react. They really do. They want to make you react. And I don't know, you might There might be something where you're doing your own thing as well. Like, you know, you might be seeing someone else without them knowing because you got the hint before. And it's like, oh yeah, that there may be a bit of that. But it also could be the fact that you have seen them and what they're doing, and this is what's made you realize that you're kind of just taking little scraps of energy, attention, and you're a lot more deserving than that. Fantastic Ace of Pentacles. So I think that you're really going to understand that what makes you happy, and you're going to go for it. Like there's going to be no qualms here. Not to say that this situation isn't going to be painful, but and even if it is like work, you know, walking away from a work situation, because obviously there's emotional attachment there, but it's not going to be as painful as you think. And I don't know, I get the feeling that some of you may have thought that you were going to like hang on until a certain time, like be that for a job or whatever, and it's not going to work out that way. You're actually going to be pushed elsewhere. It's really interesting. I had a friend of mine recently, and she was in a situation with a person, and then they had some things which they had to work through, and then she went away, and then she met someone who was like her ideal, you know. And then obviously this wasn't a relationship or anything. It was just kind of like, you know, the universe kind of showing you what is possible. And that kind of really changed her paradigm and way of thinking, and caused her to really, you know, reevaluate the relationship she was in order to encourage the best growth for both of them. So rather than like just kind of like, okay, I'm going to try and work through this and try and deal with it, it actually pushed her towards making a decision that was good for both of them, even though she was feeling quite scared about things. And it worked out really well. So this is kind of indicative of that. Interesting, because she inspired me to get this deck. But yeah, like I think it's really important to recognize that you've got a lot of potential, pile 3, to move on, and that even if this situation makes you feel like you've been betrayed, it's really minor. It's a really minor thing that you can walk away from, and create something really good. Really, really good. In fact, the fact that it's happened is the opportunity, you know? Because if this awakening didn't happen, then I don't think that you would have been able to like get to that point. Oops, sorry about that. My bell dropped. Hopefully that says that, yep, that's what that means. Okay, you got 2 cards here. You got suavity, which is agreeableness, disingenuousness, and condescension. Wow. I mean, that's pretty apt, you know, in the respect of you like having to kind of work a situation so everybody can be happy. And then we've got hearing, alertness, distractedness, and deafness. So making sure that you're heard as well, and that you're listening to what they're saying. And I think that sense of hearing will help you to be even more alert to what is going on, because then some people don't realize what they say. They don't realize that the way that they talk there's so much in that, you know. 80% of our communication is actually non-verbal. So what is it that we're hearing? What is it that we're kind of recognizing in places? What is it that we're awakening to? And you've got psychic development here, but it's reversed. And it's interesting how we have a sun and we have the swan. So in the respect of this card, I'm kind of like inclined to think that there was a dampening on your own development in order to kind of allow this situation to be. And I think that once you kind of like crack through this, I think you'll be able to like regain your strength, because I feel like this was a bit of a wake-up call for you to recognize kind of how much you've been a bit of an ostrich and put your head in the sand. That's what it seems to me like here. I'm going to be blatantly honest, and remember, this is only a tarot reading. It's only a tarot reading. No, I don't, and a general reading, so please remember that. So yeah, there's something about kind of this sense of not really looking at the options clearly. Sandalphon. Wow. The rock god. I love these cards. They make him look like a rock god. I love it. So Sandalphon is about love, compassion to oneself. And again, like with pile 2, I think it's really important for you to remember to be compassionate towards yourself in what's going on here. You know, just because the symbols or the signs were there that these things were happening doesn't mean that it was necessary for you to understand what was going on at that time. It was right for the right time. And also it helped you to understand like how maybe you were denying your own intuition and not really kind of connecting with that. Because we haven't got many cups here. We've only got like that 4 of cups, and that 4 of cups reversed means that we're actually taking part in the intuition. We're actually deciding to heed the call. We're only just thinking, oh, actually, I have been a bit like, I've not been paying attention. So what Sandalphon is saying is that, like, just give yourself a bit of love, forgive yourself for that, and also just remember that, I don't know, what I'm also getting from Sandalphon, particularly this like image of Sandalphon, is that sometimes we can believe in ideals. And it's all right to believe in those goals and ideals and those dreams. It's fine. And remembering why we did. I think that's also really important. Because it'll be interesting to see what you get from Helen's reading. Because if we're in a particular paradigm of justice that is kind of pushing us towards thinking a certain way or being a certain way or behaving a certain way in order to get what we need, then it's completely understandable why we behaved the way that we did. So there's an element of forgiveness that needs to occur here, and Sandalphon is encouraging you to partake in that. Okay, so to close out the reading, we've got 2 questions for you. We've got serpents. These are cards from the Stories Oracle, which are based on constellations. Okay, so what if you outgrew the idea you are not enough? What if you outgrew the idea that you are not enough? And that's what this is about, like, if you a lot of people stay within situations that is not really deserving, like that they don't deserve to be in, because they don't see outside that paradigm. And that's what that card is kind of saying. It's saying that, sometimes you have to grow to that point to, like, you have to outgrow that skin in order to be able to produce a new one. And you were lucky. You got 2 of these and you got 2 of these. So Ursa Major, the big bear. Wow. Are you the hunter or the hunted? That's a really good question for you guys. Are you the hunter or the hunted? So, pile 3, very interesting reading. It would be really good for you to go and see what Helen's reading has in store for you. I hope that you found this useful. If you have, please do like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And also, if you did want to get in touch with me for a private reading, I'm available. Please contact me on email. That's the only way you can get a reading from me. But otherwise, my darlings, thank you so much. Go and see Helen's reading. This will really give you some more kind of perspective on this situation, like an external perspective. But otherwise, take care. All the best, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.